Hello, welcome to the Solution Architect Show. Your host is Ben. In this episode, I'm answering a listener's questions. I will answer him why I want to become a solution architect, why choosing solution architect is a two-way door rather than a one-way door decision, and I'll share my tips and tricks around how you can become a solution architect.
What was your biggest motivation when you make a change from becoming a developer to becoming a solution architect? And what was the biggest challenges at the time that you faced?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The reason I moved from developer to solution architect, I think I shared actually in the New Zealand Tech Ready conference. So it is really back then when I was working on a technology called SharePoint. SharePoint was really hot. So I was more of a consultant / developer on that platform. I was making a really good living. And then suddenly when Microsoft tried to move SharePoint into cloud, they couldn't move that as a development platform. So now using SharePoint or OneDrive as a vanilla product. So you use it as it is, as a software service offering. You can't develop on that platform anymore. So in fact, Microsoft start discourage or tell their customer do not develop on their environment. So at that time, I have to make a decision whether I choose another product to learn, which I did. I started learning Salesforce through the company I worked for back then. But then I was like, well, how about if I spend another 3 or 5 years learning Salesforce, and then suddenly Salesforce is going away. So that's why I started asking one of my mentor to say, hey, you guys has been living a really good living in IT, and tell me what's your secret. And basically the secret is about leadership, about those soft skills, which I shared in my recent podcast. Is kind of, there's a saying that you can't build a house in the sand. The reason for that is because the sand is changing every day. It's not on a stable ground. Similarly, the technology are changing very fast, right? It's very hard to build a stable IT career on technical skills. We build our career on how fast we can learn. It's not like the technical skills we have. Like think about when you first learned in the university, or the papers you did, or the assignment you did. I think by the time you graduated from university, the skills become obsolete. So when you start a job, you have to learn something new, right? When you finish a project, to learn something new. I think that's just a reality of technical people. And I think I was advised, I need to prioritize to learn other skills that are long-lasting, high value and high impact, which I shared in the conference. And you can't learn those skills by reading books and watching videos. You can get an introduction, but you can't learn those skills by just watching or reading books. It's very similar for you to learn swimming. You can't learn by watching other people swim, or you can't read a book on how to swim. You have to get into the pool to struggle a bit before you can actually learn swim. And solution architect is that pool for me in IT career, right? So that's the role that enabled me to actually practice my leadership skills, practice my communication skills, and other related skills to make me a strong leader. I think to summarize why I want to make the change, I don't want to make the change. I think life just forced me to make the change because Microsoft discontinued the product that I took a bet on many years ago, sort of why I want to make the change. I think your second question is, what is the biggest challenge? I guess the biggest challenge for me back then is actually like understand what solution architects actually do. So after I talked to my initial mentor, who is sort of back then working as a strategy manager. So he's more on the enterprise architect side. So he encouraged me to find a mentor or coach on the solution architect side, which I did because in the company I work for, there's quite a large solution architect team, which I do know a couple of people really well. So I talked to them, one of them to say, yeah, quite happy to actually mentor you. I even talked to HR, so we got some sort of support from HR. We got some sort of quite a formal arrangement that's supported by HR, both by time and resources. And I use that sort of grow mentoring model when I'm mentoring others after that. So it's really good for me to really understand what the solution architects do, because depending on the company type and also the project you normally get, right? So back then, I'm more working in the corporate environment where a solution architect is not like a developer plus. It's more making sure you're becoming a bridge between business and IT. You're really doing a lot of alignment and governance type of work, which people might call that PowerPoint architect. I don't mind, but that gives me a lot of opportunity to learn a lot of those skills. Where I am now in the technology startup, which is our core product is a software product. And my role as a solution architect in the technology startup company are completely different. So I'm more of a principal engineer plus I know architecture. So my role involves a lot of the hands-on coding and mentoring to senior developers or technical lead to make sure they understand the architecture and why we're doing it and the importance of that. So I guess the challenge for me is I don't understand. So that's why I seek some help from getting some mentor to do that. Another thing is once you kind of understand it, because I expand that question a bit, I think after about 6 months, I really understand what solution architect do and what my mentor is doing. So I feel comfortable of doing it. I wouldn't say feel comfortable doing it, but I at least understand what they're doing. Because once you kind of know that, then you're kind of having some certainty to really look for different resources and information to get the upscaling. The next hard part is actually find a job, find a full-time solution architect job, because you soon realize that solution architect and the technical lead or senior developer are two different roles. So when you talk to a recruiter or a HR, they don't see your experiences in developer as experience for solution architect. You're basically becoming almost like new graduate to try to find your first job. So it is challenging, but I guess I think you only grow when you face challenges. That's what I find. Like if you don't, if like what you just said, like you're kind of comfortable with what you currently got, you're looking for growth, right? But that's just what you told me, right? But by having that conversation, you normally wouldn't grow. Like you might changing your mindset and understand this, then you start growing. But you only grow like when you face a challenge and you try to find every possible way to overcome that challenge. And I truly believe a true growth only come from overcoming challenges. So I guess the second challenge is try how to find a job. I think I shared that in my recent podcast is try to talk to as many people working in this industry and doing networking and getting some architecture certification and think about how a new university graduate try to hustle to get their first job. You have to basically do the same thing. Another thing is initially you might need to take a pay cut. That's another challenge, or not a challenge, or decision you might need to consider. Because I took not very high, but I did take a initial pay cut to move from a technical lead role into a solution architect role. I think looking back, that certainly pays off because I'm thinking I'm growing into a position I'm probably earning more than what if I'm working as a developer. So so that's basically the two questions. Is the first one is life forced me to move on to solution architect. The second one is you just have to find your way. So once you make your mind, say, hey, this is the solution architect I want to do. You will just try every possible ways to try to learn it and try to get it.
Nice, thank you very much, man. I think from my end, because I just had a recent catch up with my line manager, and I told her, hey, here's my plan for the next, say, 6 to 9 months. I'm being practical with her because I got a little 9-month-old baby, so life's pretty busy for me, a little human around. But at the same time, it sort of gives me motivation to also look for opportunity and grow in my career. So when I presented the plan, my old plan to my manager, she said, okay, I will fully support you as long as that's what you are after. And I made it very clear that, hey, when I start get involved in those solution architect meetings with those solution architect people in the company, I want to start looking at how the way they solve problem, the way they, let's say they need to scale a particular feature on the platform, how do they do that? Like, how do they, let's say, migrate from one platform to another one for more, let's say, cost efficient reason, something like that. So I laid out some more like a summary of bullet points, that things that I would like to learn. And I think that just because I'm pretty much at like a very, very initial stage of, it's more like exploration stage, where I'm like, okay, is this the right path for me? Because I want to learn a bit about business. I want to learn about like the whole picture, because as a developer, as you probably know a lot more than me, but like even like at a tech lead position, at the end of the day, you're still more like in one section of the whole puzzle. But as you now working as a principal engineer, overlooking the whole architecture thing, you get to see the whole platform, how things all connected to each other, and how you present that to the business team and how they look at it from their angle as well. So I think that's really a thing that I'm interested in learning. And I think thank you so much for the sharings. I think that's really, that resonate with what I'm after. I think I'm just gonna start, like you said, start fighting my way through it. Start probably listening to more of your podcasts. Apologize, I haven't listened too much, but I will listen to a couple more, and then find the right people to speak to, and start making a really solid plan. And maybe I'll reach out to you once again in the future. Once I think I made up my mind, like, cool, this is the decision I'm making is going to affect for the next 5 years of my life. You know, I'm going to put a lot of efforts into this. So that's why I would like to reach out to people like you who've gone through that path and know what the effort, what the sacrifice required to make the change. But yeah, no, it's awesome. Just the time, I think you might have to leave, right? Because you got
No, that's fine. I'll just add one point. Yeah, so you're based in Wellington, isn't it? Yeah, so in Wellington, there's a good meetup around architecture. I think Mike running it. So yeah, check those one out. I think you also asked me that question around I think the question is around what about if I tried it and don't like it? I think something around that line. I guess the when my mentor shared his journey, he actually going through the people management route. So he becoming a people manager. He's managing probably up to 100 sort of tech people. So I guess he gave me two options. One is you can do solution architect, which you don't have to manage people, but you also practice technical leadership. So technical leadership is all about people, right? You just don't manage people, but you learn technical leadership through working as a solution architect. The other option is obviously of his choice, which is team leader, engineering manager, and engineering director. So that's what the path he's taken. And he did tell me once you go on the people manager, it's almost like a one-way door. So once you becoming a people manager, it's very hard to go back to tech. So it's probably considered as a one-way door. whereas solution architect is a two-way door. So it's still you still have to retain a lot of your technical skills. So that means if you don't like it, you can always go back to where you are. In fact, that's sort of my current role just proved that. So I was working as a solution architect in a corporate environment for the past 10 years, where I haven't write any code. Now I'm going back to a startup where I do need to write code, which I'm getting a bit rusty, but because I've done it before, I can pick it up easily, right? With all the AI tools that I can just put that into the AI tools and let them to explain what that code means. So I can go back and I prove that it is a two-way door. So I don't think you have to worry too much. Prioritize your learning around that leadership, around that tech communication skills, and just try to push it on. And also, my mentor also told me is when you feel uncomfortable doing a task, there's potentially two reasons why you feel uncomfortable. One is you don't like it. The second one is you don't know how to do it. You're still learning. So when you do get the opportunity to work as solution architect, give it at least 2 years. So you have to work as a solution architect or any role, right? 2 years. I think 2 years, it'll give you enough time to learn how to do it. And then you can make a decision, because at that time, you pretty much rolled out option 2, which is, I don't know how to do it. At that time, if you still don't like it, that is more likely is you don't like it because you know how to do it. You just don't like working that role. That's what I did when I get promoted to a team leader role. I did give it probably more than 2 years. I think there's a lot of reason on why I kind of go back to the individual contributor, but I did stick to that 2 years mark to really master. I can do team leader, I can manage people, but I think I made a conscious decision. I'm still enjoying doing architecture more than managing people. So that's another thing that hopefully give you some certainty. I think learning architecture is definitely going to help your career. And if you want to go back to where you are as a developer, you can. It's not something that you make a call that you can never go back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely fantastic point, because I think you really like targeted the right point that I was kind of have that worriness in my mind. It's lingering in my brain, like you said, what if this is not the right path? What if, and there's too many what if, but like you mentioned, if it's a two-way door, that's incredible. That's just like, we feel so much better, especially now. It's just different when you don't have someone depend on you, but now you have a little human depend on you. You just don't want to waste time on certain things that you might regret. But given it's two-way doors, I think there's no reason why not to try, why not to challenge myself in a new environment. So thank you so much. That's, even though it's a short chat. And
No worries. Thanks for your good questions.